Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome to our first flight in the Airbus A350-1000. Today we're flying from Hong Kong over to Tokyo, which is a daily service operated by the Cathay Airbus A350. So join me inside as we can start to make our way to the cockpit in this beautiful machine and then start to set up our aircraft for our flight today. So, what is worth mentioning here, if I do spend a little bit of time outside, thereafter go back in, that gives me a little bit of frame rate drop, which eventually comes all back. So don't be worried here if we just get a tiny frame drop here in the very beginning. That is going to fix itself. Okay, so that's our A350 cockpit, and down here we check the engine master levers are off, the selector is in the norm position, thrust levers idle, landing gear down, the wiper selectors are off, and then we can power up the electrics up here. So batteries are coming on, and then the external power units are also coming on. And with that, the aircraft starts powering up. We've got to give it a little bit until it has actually completed that power up process. Now, once it's done its initial little bit of beeping, then we can already start with the battery check. So let's turn the batteries back off and check up here on the upper overhead panel that we do have more than 25 volts. That's with the nickel-cadmium batteries. The lithium-ion batteries require 27 if I'm not completely mistaken. Alright, and the batteries are coming back on. So with that out of the way, we wait until our flight warning computers have initialized right up here, and once that is the case, we can start with our fire test. So let's give it a short while here. We can see all the sensors are slowly coming live, and the flight warning computers should be live in a moment here as well. Here we go. Alright, so then, fire test is looking good. IRSs are coming on, and the APU is also coming on, so that we can get it nice and cozy for our guests. Okay, so with that now underway, let's go ahead and move over into the electronic flight bag. So A350-1000, and we can do a SimRief import here, giving us all our flight's data, and then we can head over to the operational flight plan and review our flight plan. I'm going to start this one actually a little bit further down here with our weather charts, and here they are. So this is the moment where I would wish for a little zoom button, but we don't have that for the moment. But you can see it's more or less a direct route from Hong Kong over Taiwan and then along the shore of Japan all the way to our destination. Looking at the significant weather chart down here, we can see, due to the jet stream that's just up here, we are expecting some clear air turbulence, so around an hour and a half into the flight until half an hour before landing, we could expect some turbulence on today's flight. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move a little bit up again to the airport weather list and have a look at what we're expecting over there. So, in the Fukuoka FIR, there are severe turbulence forecasts between level 110 and 160, just to have that in mind. Then Hong Kong has good weather conditions, only 17 degrees today, and Tokyo currently 4 degrees. Now, the weather forecast, however, is good, few clouds and northerly winds. Our alternate Fukushima has light snow showers forecast, but apart from that, they have good weather conditions. So, keeping that in mind, let's move all the way up. You can see we are landing like 20 minutes ahead of schedule if we depart on time at 1:15. So, maybe we take a little bit of extra fuel here, because you can see 1:15 is already in 8 minutes. We're probably not going to be that fast. So, that out of the way, let's go down here into the fuel section and see what we've got. So, if we get 1,000 kilos heavier, that just costs, you can see, almost nothing. And flying lower is pretty cheap today as well. And flying faster, well, is pretty cheap as well. So with all of that in mind, our planned takeoff is 23.7 plus 400, so 24.1. If we, just to be on the safe side here, round that up to 25 tons, we should be more than good to go. So let's go into the load sheet and import our weights from SimBrief. We've got... No, what are you doing? Okay, set 0 fuel weight. Fuel, we're gonna increase that a tiny bit, so 25 tons. So you can see we have 334 passengers on board, which is the maximum that the Cathay A350 can seat. But you can see in the Inibuilds layout, they have actually expanded that a little bit more so that you can take up to 367 guests. Ooh. What's the sim doing here? Stuttering a little bit? Normally you can reset that if you just go into window mode and then back to full screen. You can see that's quite a bit better now. Okay, so right back inside and we can start setting up for our takeoff performance now. So let's synchronize the SimBrief weights, synchronize the weather conditions. We'll take the air conditioning off and hit compute. So our performance limited weight 324 tons is absolutely fine. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's check our oxygen quantities. Rain repellent is showing norm. Then we can go down to the hydraulics, which are showing alright as well. We can see the green reservoir is getting a little bit on the low side here, but it's still fine for operations today. Then, for our engine oil quantity, we gotta go to the overhead panel and power the FADEX. And we have 15.6. That's alright for our flight and the return flight as well. Excellent. So then, the flaps and spoilers are checked. The brake accumulator pressure is checked. And that's the preliminary cockpit preparation complete. So let's get right into the cockpit preparation on the overhead panel. Refueling is complete, so all the signs can come on today. APU bleed is also coming on, and since the APU is available, we can disconnect external power 1. Then the fuel pumps are coming on, and on the left side we are carrying temperature-sensitive cargo today, and they actually do require us to give them a temperature of around 22 degrees, so we're going to turn it right up here. And that's that. CBR test is looking good, then we can go right down here. We'll set the QNH, which is 1026 this morning. Here we go, 1026, and then down to the pedestal. Unicom and guard. And we want to listen to and transmit on number 1, listen to number 2. Then we can also dial up the interphone, the cabin interphone, and the PA a little bit. Perfect. In the middle, everything is set. On the right-hand side, yeah, you're gonna listen to all of these. And the transponder goes down here. If you may. Here we go. Better. Alright, perfect. So, ATC com page. ADSC emergency should be off down here. Then message record is checked erased. On the surveillance page, the transponder is off. And with that, we can go right into the FMS. So, aircraft status A350 1000 with the current NAV database. That's looking good. Then let's go on to the flight plan request. And that is going to take a little while it's downloading all that data up here. Here we go. And insert. Cathay 526 from Hong Kong to Tokyo, alternate in Fukushima. So, cruise temperature, let's find out about that. That's going to be minus 54 degrees. Come on. Minus 54. Due to a bug, we can't enter the tropopause if it's higher than 36,090 feet. We just gotta live with that. Company wind data request, and then let's go into here. So the IRSs are in nav mode. Then for our departures, we are going off Hong Kong, runway 07 center today. Let's see which SID we have. Towards Dalol, and they planned the Dalol 1 X-ray over here. Let's see what our terminal charts say. Sit, runway 07 center. There's lots of them. So, where is Dalol? Not on this one. Okay, then let's see. 07 center using radius to fix legs. And I think that is actually one that I want to try. So Dalol 1 Yankee will be our departure today. That way we can see how well the aircraft is going to fly radius to fix operations. So that little chart down here it is. So Dalol 1 Yankee. Temporary flight plan and insert. And then for the arrival into Tokyo Narita. They don't list the runway over here, but it should be 34 left. Because that is the long one. Then we're coming in from Rutas, and they have the Rutas East arrival. For the ILS. And Rutas East. Here we go. Okay. And then let's quickly review what that looks like. So we are coming in via Elgar or Gina. Do we have anything here? Yeah, Elgar. Perfect. Alright, so we will select this, and that is looking just about great. Then we can close any of those scratchpad messages down here. Alright, back to the init and to the nav aids, where we basically don't need anything. And then fuel and load. So let's go ahead and have a look at the load sheet app. And here we go. So the zero fuel weight is 189.8. Zero fuel CG exactly 30. And today's fuel 25 tons. Passengers 334. And then we can also enter our fuel figures, which we can once again get from our flight plan. So, taxi fuel 0.4. Then alternate fuel is 2.2 and final reserves 2.4. So alternate 2.2 and then final reserves 2.4. Okay, so that tells me we arrive with exactly 0 extra fuel, but the time is a little bit long over here, so let's just cross-check that we actually have the winds in. Let's do that again, if needed. So, climb. Yeah, okay, the winds are in, so that's gonna be fine. Alright, last but not least, we need the takeoff performance, and I am going to uplink that from the EFB. So send to FMS, and confirm data. Okay, the packs are supposed to be off today, and we'll leave the rest as it is. For the climb page, auto derate is pre-selected, transition altitude 9,000 feet. Is confirmed. Alright, and then let's go down into the flight plan page and the fix info. And this one's going to be a little bit interesting now, because the engine outsits in Hong Kong are rather interesting ones. So, you guys know that I love to use Blackbox 711's website for that. And he does have that kind of info for Hong Kong as well. So let's go ahead and have a look. So here it is. Hong Kong, runway, he still has 7 left and 7 right, because that is somewhat, yeah, that is a little bit outdated. They do have some new runways today. Noise abatement procedure number 1, so reduction in 1500, acceleration in 3000. We can already write that down and put that into our FMS. So let's go performance. Thrust reduction is going to be in 1530 and the acceleration in 3030. What did I do now? Like that. Alright. Then we had an engine out acceleration in 1600, which we can program down here. Alright, and now comes the difficult task of programming that engine out sit. So let's go ahead and have a look at what the EOSIT actually looks like. The new runway 07 center is the former 07 left, so let's use that one. Track 074 until 5DB Sierra Mike Tango, then right turn to Charlie Hotel and hold. Okay, so let's first of all find the location of those nav aids. Because, as you can see, a lot of them have been dismissed recently. So that EOSIT isn't really all that up to date. But let's go ahead and give this a try. So basically we go straight ahead 5 miles, and then a right-hand turn to Charlie Hotel, which I believe was somewhere over here or so. Let's see if we still have anything of that in the database. So, secondary flight plan, import, active, and back to flight plan. So, instead of using that nav aid, I am going to use 5 miles straight ahead from the runway. So, insert next waypoint. That's going to be Victor Triple Hotel 07 Center / 074, as that's a runway track. We can see that down here. For 5 nautical miles. That's the first PVD point. And then let's see if Charlie Hotel is still in the database. Was it? Wait a moment. Charlie Hotel? Yeah, Charlie Hotel. Okay, so Charlie Hotel. Enter. No. 4,600 miles. That is not correct. Okay, so we are going to delete that. Instead, what we'll do is straight ahead to the PVD-02, and after that we'll make that right-hand turn, just go southbound out to the open ocean. Because that's the best data we have now. Okay, so then, new destination, Victor Triple Hotel, enter, and then we can enter an arrival down here, so let's say 07 right, with an ILS approach, and that's it. Okay, perfect. So that's all we need down here. I'm going to keep it like that. I will not enter anything in the fix page. And yeah, I'll just keep it like that. What we could do, of course, is to go to the nav page here and enter Sierra Mike Tango and just make that hard so that we know we've got the DME available right down here for our engine outset as well. I think that's probably the best thing for us to do here. Alright, so that's our FMS done. Then let's quickly set up the FCU. So QNH 1026, constraints, airports, traffic. Initial is usually 5,000 here in Hong Kong, and that's it. Okay. So that's everything set up. Then let's go for the briefing. I have to admit, sitting on the right seat looks a little bit cooler than sitting on the left seat in this aircraft, doesn't it? Is that only my feeling, or would you agree on that? I don't know, it just looks like it to me. And you can, of course, get yourself a chart here as well. Hong Kong, search. At least go ahead and grab the AGC, please. That area north or south? Yeah, gotta be south. Or not really. Could be either. That's fine. Let's use north. Because we are parking right over here. So that includes our taxi routing. Alright, excellent. So let's go for the briefing. Our takeoff runway today is Hong Kong's 07 Center, departing via the Daloy 1 Yankee departure. Initial 5,000, and the MSA on this one, well, somewhere around 4,100, 4,300. So basically in 5,000 we are safe. Extra fuel and time, exactly 0. Alright, so no hotspots for the taxi routing. Something that I do like, by the way, is if I click First Officer OIS on center, I can just bring it up over here. So we can see that there are no hotspots anywhere over here. Stop margin in case of rejected takeoff is 0, and the engine outsets straight out to 5DME Sierra Mike Tango, then a right-hand turn, heading 180 to get us out to the open ocean. If we need to make an immediate return, we are below the max landing weight, I think. Let's check real quick. OFP. So, max landing weight is 236 tons. We're at 215 roughly, so we're below the maximum landing weight. Special operations. To be honest, I don't really have anything there. There are no speed restrictions over here, so that's wonderful. And I have nothing non-standard either. Threats for the departure? Most certainly the terrain, so we are going to use the terrain display on the VSD for that. And look at that. So if you just go to windowed mode, that's Alt-Enter by default, and then go back to full screen, that basically fixes it. You can see now, with a little bit of initial lag, performance is going to get quite a bit better again. Okay, and that's that. So let's go for the before start checklist to the line, please. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity 24,900 kilos. Takeoff data set. Barrel reference QNH 1026. Before start checklist complete down to the line. Wonderful. Well then, GSX to prepare the position for pushback and departure, please. And while you are doing that, let's say hello to our guests. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Cathay Pacific, welcome aboard flight 526 to Tokyo Narita. The flight time today is calculated at 3 hours and 10 minutes, and we expect a smooth first half of the flight. The second half may include a little bit of turbulence, as we have a very strong tailwind on today's flight, which shortens our flight time to just the 3 hours and 10 minutes. However, which might induce a little bit of turbulence. We would like to apologize for our departure delay. We will start our pushback within a matter of the next couple of minutes, and then we still expect to arrive on time in Tokyo. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. Alright, and that's our passengers briefed. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and prepare for pushback and departure. So the beacon is coming on. Then, surveillance system on. And before start checklist, below the line as soon as these lights are on. Here we go. Doors closed, parking brake set, before start checklist complete. Ground from flight deck. Go ahead. So please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. All confirmed. Roger, thanks. We're clear to push. Facing runway 07. Parking brake is set. Roger, lifting up right now. Stand by for clearance. Stand by to release. So that's gonna be nose to the right. So pushback color red and release parking brakes. Brakes released. Thank you. Start the pushback and stand by for engine start. Standing by. Alright, here we go. So, some reason here in Hong Kong, the frames can really drop down a little bit occasionally, but as far as I can see, that's really something Hong Kong specific and not A350 specific, as the A350 performance for me normally is pretty good. Alright, we're getting clear of the road, so clear to start engines in sequence. Thank you, starting 1 and 2. So, we gotta wait for 10 seconds. Here we go, engine 1 start. Clear 1. Look at that, we already have the cabin ready memo. I somewhat don't want to believe that they are ready already. That would have been a bit very quick. Okay, that's looking very good. Number 1 is coming up. Still pushing us back. Okay, we have a good start in engine 1, starting engine 2. Clear 2. Okay, push complete, set brakes. Brake set. So, number 2 is starting. At 45% and 3, the start valve should close. Was it 45 or am I mistaken about that one? Nope, roughly 45. Alright. And that's looking very good. Something you can notice is that once the engine starts, the oil quantity indication is really going to go down. Therefore, it is so important that you check that on the ground. Alright, and we have both engines avail. So, there goes the handling agent. And I've got to go to windowed mode and back to full screen again. Here we go. Clear signal is received. Wonderful. Okay, the trim is looking good, within 1%. Clear signal received, after start checklist. Anti-ice off, after start checklist complete. So, flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Perfect. Wow, those graphics today are really going into that lag mode often. As far as I'm aware, that happens when the simulator runs out of available graphics memory, but yeah, don't ask me. It's gotta be that Hong Kong airport. First time I'm seeing this with the A350. So brake is released, we're clear on both sides. So brake check, and for that we watch over here, and brake's okay. So at the very light weight at which we are today, you can see the aircraft nicely starts to roll, even in idle thrust. So we can just wait it out and let it accelerate on idle, or we can just use a little bit of power here to get the aircraft moving. I'm opting for that option. Alright, and with that we are on the way. So back to idle, reaching 10 knots. Gonna take the second line to the right to get onto taxiway Alpha. And now remember, we are in a hugely long aircraft, so appropriate oversteering needs to be used. Pretty much like this. You can kind of feel the point around which the aircraft is turning when you are actually within the turn, so that's rather important that you get that right. So speed down below 10. And here we go, this is looking good. The way I'm doing this is I imagine where the center of the turn is located behind me, and then I basically steer that imaginary center of turn around the center line. And that way you can normally control your aircraft pretty well. Okay, so we are up here on Alpha now. Over here, intersection Alpha A to Alpha. Now let's go via Alpha all the way to Alpha 1. And from there we have 3,800 meters of takeoff run available. Let's see. Yep, that's in here as well. Wonderful. Okay. So, I don't have any changes to the takeoff briefing. You have anything? And it's lagging again, just because I'm looking around. That's quite incredible. Something is really balked with this airport. But okay, yeah, no changes to the briefing. So, water brake on, takeoff config, and that's looking all good. Fine, before takeoff checklist down to the line, please. Flight controls, checked. Flight instruments, checked. Briefing, confirmed. Then V1, VR, V2, and thrust rating. We have V1 148, VR 152, V2 156, flex 70. Okay, squawk 2000 set. Before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. Alright, since we said terrain is an issue for this departure, let's go into the terrain display here and here. Okay, well, that's basically everything we had to do during the taxi, but we're almost reaching the runway already. That's what I really like the ANF for. Airport navigation function, since a couple of you have been asking. So, exceeding 30 knots, gotta be careful here, slow it back down. I'm just braking very gently right now so that we can taxi all the way up to the holding point here without having to use another brake application. Remember, you are operating an aircraft with carbon brakes, and carbon brakes wear down based on the number of application, not on their intensity. So right now, if I'm going for one long, gradual braking maneuver here, that is better for the brakes than if I went for one strong, or for several strong or not so strong brake applications. Okay, we are clear on the approach. There's nobody coming over there. Speed nicely down, somewhere around 7 or 8 knots entering the turn. That should normally work very well to keep you within the 10 knots for the actual turn itself. Ooh, nice vessel over there. Look at that. Alright, cabin crew, prepare for departure. Okay, we don't need the weather radar, since we can see everything. Okay, 07 Santa is confirmed. Before takeoff checklist below the line. Takeoff runway, 07 Santa confirmed. Cabin crew advised, packs off, before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, ready? Take off. Manflex 70 SS Romeo Autothrust Blue. Thrust set. .100 knots, checked. Very easy to keep the A350 on the center line. I really like that. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. Autopilot 1. I really want to see how well the aircraft is going to handle the RF lag. So, speed restriction in the turn is 210, and the clean speed is 204, so that's fine. Thrust decline, auto thrust. Packs on. Look at this. Climb. Beautiful terrain here, isn't it? Flap 0. Speed checked. Flaps 0. After takeoff checklist down to the line. After takeoff checklist down to the line complete. What a beautiful place to fly. So we're entering the RF lag. Let's pay good attention to how the aircraft is going to do this. But this is looking pretty excellent. Very precise track keeping down here. Check it up here as well. It's doing that very well. Look at how precisely it's flying the route. And still precisely on the turn. Wonderful. Exactly how this should go. You can nicely see on the chart why the route is laid out exactly as it is, leading us here straight over the water and keeping us clear of any of those mountains to the left and to the right. Very good. Very well done. That's the kind of track keeping that I'm looking for. So, then we're clear of the terrain, so let's go over to the weather radar here. Since weather basically almost is a factor in Asia. Right now we have very good timing here. Outside temperature is just 16, 17 degrees, keeping the energy out of the atmosphere, but when we come back in summertime and do this again, then we are probably gonna use that weather radar a lot. Set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 92. Now, after takeoff checklist below the line. Barrel ref, standard set. After takeoff checklist complete. Okay, so far so wonderful. So we're passing Rahmen. I'm getting hungry. 10,000 feet, no more speed restrictions, couple altitude restrictions that we gotta abide, but we're easily gonna be able to do that. According to the VSD up here. Well, well. So, let's see, that weather out here doesn't really look turbulent, so let's release our guests. Continue the climb a little bit. Alright, the EFIS is set, and then Nav 8, we're gonna clear that Sierra Mike Tango. And then secondary copy active. Okay. Well, so optimum 404, maximum 213. We're planned in flight level 390. I wonder if that is due to the winds. Let's have a look at the OFP again. Oh yeah, look at that. The wind is the strongest at flight level 35 to 370. 390 it's already getting weaker. And then at 410 it's 10 knots less wind, so it makes more sense to fly in 390 here, like SimBrief had originally planned. You can see 39 is our planned flight level. So it makes more sense to stay there rather than to go all the way up to the pure aerodynamic optimum. Excellent, so flight level 390 it is. That's all cruise 390 blue. Well, and then we are nicely out of Hong Kong, so I see you all a little bit later as we start our arrival into Tokyo. Is flying by in the most literal sense of the word. We're already almost in Tokyo. So Japan is off to the left hand side, not really inside at the time being. With a bit of goodwill we can make out some land right over there, but That might also just be a little bit of an optical illusion over here. So let's go ahead and start to prepare for our arrival. We're going to start by requesting the latest weather, so let's go into the ATC.com and D-ATIS, update all, and see what we're going to get for Narita. So, pending request, and here we go. 360 at 10, 10 kilometers, no significant clouds, 2 degrees, QNH 1016. So let's go ahead and start by dialing in the QNH. 1016 once and 1016 twice. Okay, so the next interesting thing then is going to be our arrival. For that, let's see if our terminal charts are working by searching for our destination. And they don't. Oh, lovely. So after like... how long did we fly so far? Not all too long. They already dropped out. Wonderful. Okay. So be it. Then we've got to use our good old reliable Navigraph charts once again. Beautiful flight simulator. And what is this little thing coming into view over here? Go away. Thank you. Okay, so over to our Navigraph charts. Good old reliable. There's definitely nothing negative we can say about this. Provided they load. Takes a little while, but here we go. Okay, so import from SimBrief, and that's Hong Kong inbound to Narita. So, thank you, close those please, and close those. So, Ruta's east arrival is our plan for the day, and the Ruta's east is the outer one. We could change it to the inner one, to the Ruta's, what's that, Tango arrival. That would provide us a little bit more of a straight-in course here. And I think I'm actually going to do that. So, instead of Ruta's east, we'll arrive via Ruta's Tango. So runway 34 left, ILS approach, and Ruta's Tango. And that one ends at Tyler. So via Tyler. Here we go, and temporary insert. So let's see what that's done to our top of descent. Should probably have come a little bit closer. Yep, 80 nautical miles out. Be aware though, we have 143 knots of tailwind, so things are going to go a little bit quicker than what we are used to. Alright, with that, let's get going then. So we need an ILS chart for runway 34 left, which is going to be that one over here. And here we go. So, from here, let's go on to the performance. Descent, speeds are alright, pretty much on the quick side already for a descent with that much a tailwind, but let's not worry about that for the time being. Then, you give me the ATIS, please. Thank you. Okay, so wind 360 at 10. Then the temperature is +2 and the QNH 1016. Entering that, minimums 339 and enter. Alright, and since we've got a fairly long runway available over here with 34 left, and since we've got to vacate rather late along the runway, as far as I remember, yeah, basically 4,000 meters, so the earliest exit is 2,000 meters down. Let's certainly go for a config 3 landing here. Gives us a rather high approach speed at 149 knots, but we do have a rather long turnaround time as well, so the brakes have time to cool. Right, thrust reduction and acceleration altitudes are checked, and then for the engine out acceleration altitude, that's 4,000 over here, 3,100 over here. I'm gonna go with the lower one because climb to 1,000 on heading, then turn left, come to 6,000 via heading 142. So that's basically leading us right into that quadrant of the Narita VOR over here. So 3,100 as engine out acceleration altitude. 3,100. And insert. Well, position monitor. We are landing on Romeo Juliet Alpha Alpha 34 left. And that's it. With that, we've basically done the FMS part of things. So let's get rid of that again. Then we can go for our brake to vacate. So let's download the airport chart. Might take a little while here for the chart to download. And while that's happening, let's already head down into the landing performance. So we're going to synchronize the FMS over here. Landing on 3-4 left. We are also going to synchronize the current data. And the config 3 landing with brake mode medium. Alright, compute. And we can see we need factor just about 1,900 meters, so fairly easy going. Stop margin is 2,139, so lots and lots of time available there. Alright, landing runway 3-4 left is selected. And let's see, yeah, if we just vacate over here Alpha 6, that's perfectly easy. So why can I not select the BTV exit? Here we go, we can select Alpha 5, that's fine. Okay, and BTV armed. Well, and that's all we've got to do down here. So with that, we are already ready for our briefing, but let me first take a chance and say goodbye to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from Aflytic, this is your captain speaking. We will start our descent towards Tokyo Narita in the next 5 minutes. The weather over there at the moment is pretty good. We only have a few clouds, the temperature winterly at around 2 degrees. Would like to thank you very much for choosing to fly with Cathay today. Hope you enjoyed your flight as much as we did. We look forward to welcome you again and wish you a nice and safe continuous journey. Alright, passengers are briefed, TCAS on to below. And then let's go ahead and start the approach briefing, please. Alright, thanks. So, we are going to fly the Rudas Tango arrival with a couple of shortcuts already planned. MSA 3100 on the approach, and the approach itself will be in ILS towards runway 3-4 left. Minimum 339 feet, go around trajectory straight at 1000 and left turn heading 142, kilometer 6000, and extra fuel and time we have 500 kilos, which equals 5 minutes. Alright, thank you. The approach will be flown with flight director guidance and manual controls. Landing config 3, stop margin 2100 meters. We will use the reversers in order to shorten our turnaround time a little bit, and we'll vacate the runway to the right via Sierra 5 and don't have any hotspots for the taxi here. I have nothing special or non-standard. Do you see any threats? No? Wonderful. So that's our briefing completed. Alright, so approach checklist down to the line, please. Briefing confirmed, and minimum 339 set. Approach checklist completed, down to the line. Well, wonderful. Then I see you again a bit later in the approach. Alright, we're level in flight level 110. I just pulled the heading knob so that we start flying ourselves towards the final approach instead of going onto that point merge, since we are the only ones over here, no traffic today. So let's go ahead and make a left-hand turn here, heading 350, something the likes, towards the final. We're also about to enter some clouds, temperature -8, so let's get the engine anti-ice on. Well, and then we are slowly setting course into the direction of the final approach. Let's extend the center line, direct to Cosmo, if we can find that even on that list. Here we go, Cosmo, with a course in, and that's 337. Insert. Right, and here's our extended center line. So then let's continue our descent towards an altitude of 4000, which is where the final approach fix is. So thrust oil open descent alt 4000 blue. Alright, so far so good. Let's see what is going to happen. So passing 10,000, the lights are coming on, the signs are on, we can turn the engine anti-ice back off again since we've passed those clouds. Then our EFIS control panels are set up. I'm going to stay on the weather radar here, and well, we don't really need the terrain display, but let's keep it on the right side because there is no weather either. And finally, since we are flying in ILS, the LS buttons are coming on. Alright, perfect. Then let's do the approach checklist below the line, please. Barrel reference, QNH 1016 set. Approach checklist complete. So far, so good. Well, let's go ahead and do a little bit of manual flight here, even though it's mostly straight line. A little bit of hands-on experience on a new aircraft, especially on a long-haul aircraft, most definitely cannot hurt. So we are cleared for the ILS, therefore I will arm nav mode. So we've got nav blue, and you can nicely see how the aircraft is drawing the intercept point where our present tracks intercepts the extended center line. And then we're pretty much arriving at the VNAV profile as well right now, so let's more or less pitch in order to follow that. I did go to selected speed a little bit earlier since we had a 220 knot restriction along the route, but since that is no longer part of our route, we can go back to managed mode and it will resume 250 knots. So far so good. Everything is fairly straightforward here, isn't it? Now there is one thing that I want to check real quick, and that's the fuel temperature. Because we did spend like 3 hours up there. Yeah, -6, that's pretty accurate. That's actually pretty accurate. To have negative fuel temperatures here. I was a little bit surprised on one of the other flights I recorded when we arrived after a 10-hour flight and had positive fuel temperatures. So that kind of caught me a little bit and got me curious. But over here everything is looking fine. So the aircraft flies just really, really nicely. Absolutely nothing to complain about. It's an Airbus after all, so if I had to do something, that would be the problem. It's interesting to think that this aircraft has room for 360 passengers, which is only 20 less than the Boeing 777-300ER. In Emirates config, we have to admit that, but it's a good size of an aircraft. So, speed alt star. Nope, let's not pitch too high. This is looking quite good. Nav. And the localizer is alive as well now, so let's arm it, lock blue. Lock star. Okay, we are going to keep the 250 knots until the decel point. Let's see how well the FMS calculations are going to work out for us. So it looks like they want to activate the approach phase around 5 miles prior to Cosmo. That's roughly what I would do manually as well. Normally Airbus says around 15 miles out you should latest activate the approach phase and start to slow down in level flight. On this one the decel point is located a little bit further out, like 17 miles or so. That's quite fine. Let's see how that is gonna go. Now we do get a glide slope signal down there on approach. And glide slope blue. Alright, so the approach phase is activated, the glide slope is coming alive, Let's see how well this is going to work out. I got to admit the tramp vector is larger than what I would have expected. I would have thought something around 10 knots. This one is more like, well, 15-ish. So it is slowing down a little bit nicer than I would have thought. But well, let's see how that's gonna play out. So flaps 1, speed checked, flaps 1. Okay, I will maintain the S speed when intercepting the glide slope until around 2,500. At 2,500 latest we should extend the landing gear as it is conducting some self-tests. And here we are, we've reached Japan. Glide slope down. Go around altitude 6,000 set. Alright, intercepting the glide slope. And we can see the runway straight ahead over here. So 15 knots of headwind. In general, I find the A350 to be a pretty slow aircraft. Even the 1000 at those typical landing weights. We're at 195 tons right now. As you can see, with the clean speed was around 185, 190, and now the S speed even is just 172 knots, so that's really slow. But I like it. It means we need less flaps on our arrival, and therefore we use less fuel. Okay, flaps 2. Speed checked, flaps 2. And gear down.
$2,500.
Checked. So what do you want? Speed limit exceeded. Yeah, no, I doubt it. Flaps 3. Speed checked. Flaps 3. It's interesting, we're showing right on the localizer, but looking outside, we're clearly to the right of the center line. Let's fly ourselves back onto it, and then see what the localizer is going to show us. So now we're on the center line, and we are like a third of a dot to the left of the localizer. That's interesting. That's got to be a little scenery problem. And a little turbulence problem. Right. Landing checklist. Cabin crew, advised, auto thrust, speed, auto brake, BTV, runway condition, dry. Landing checklist complete. Okay, flight director off since it doesn't give us good info. And bird on. Okay, so we are going to ignore that localizer down there. We are just going to use the glide slope as a reference. But basically, from this point onwards, we could also just conduct a visual approach. And checked. You do definitely feel a little bit of the turbulence here. The wind is coming a little bit from the left, and you can see some hills down there, and the aircraft is reacting to that.
400.
You need a little bit of side stick input here in order to keep it on the trajectory.
100 above, 300. Minimum.
Continue.
200.
Okay, disregard the glide slope for now. I don't think it's that accurate right
100.
now.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
So a little bit of rudder. And we're down. Spoilers, reverse green, BTV, decel. Alright, that first exit up here is ours. 70 knots. Manual brakes. Well, with that, welcome to Tokyo. So while we're vacating, we really got a little bit slower than I would have liked. Normally I would have vacated at 30 knots. Oh, look at that. It has its graphics issues again. It's interesting, never had them before I started recording this video. But I suppose there's always a first, is there? Here we go again. Really interesting. Okay, well, in that case, let's take things slowly. I'm just going to stop the aircraft over here. Well clear of the runway. Got to be sure to get the entire aircraft off. Here we are. Okay. So, luckily we don't have it very far to our stance, basically just via Whiskey 2, all the way straight, and that's it. So parking right over here. So lights coming off already, weather radar is off. I like how it goes off automatically after landing. So, stand 26 is correct. Let's start slowing it down a little bit. After landing checklist should be complete by now. That's something for the first officer to do right now. Then let's go far forward enough that we don't block the taxiway behind us, and I think that's it. Right, parking brake set, and APU is available. Cabin crew, all doors in park. And parking checklist. External lights. Set. Hey, where's my checklist? Set, park and brake, set, transponder. Easy to forget. No, cancel and standby. Confirm. Okay, parking checklist complete. Well then, so let's check our fuel. And we have an even distribution, both engines using the same. 4,400 kilos left in the tanks. That's really not all too much, but sufficient. Roughly 60 minutes, so pretty much as good as it gets. Well, my friends, and with that we have made it to Tokyo. I hope you liked this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. I'm really looking forward to them. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really like what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.